So, from Penny and myself, we want to welcome you to the session today. I'm going to be talking not so much about the physical agents regulation. I'm going to be talking about occupational health and safety training and how to get into the game and how to get your accreditation if and when you want to get that accreditation. So, this presentation is designed specifically for that purpose, and it goes hand in hand with a document called the prospectus. We'd like to ask you to get a copy of the prospectus either off our website or alternately from Natalie, who's our CRM manager, and she'll gladly give it to you. Now, the invitation went out something along the lines of become an accredited occupational health and safety training provider. And I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into this world. I've been involved in it for, gosh, Penny says a couple of decades, which is absolutely true. To kick off, just want to make sure that you've got Natalie's number. It's 069 652 9696 069 652 9696. And if you want a copy of the prospectus, which I believe would be very, very handy, please just send her a WhatsApp message saying, hello, I need a copy. You can also get it off our website. And as I mentioned to you, we are recording it with Zoom, and we're going to upload it to YouTube this evening so that it's available for you and your colleagues. So with that, let's get straight into it. I am not a lawyer. I say that to a lot of people, even though I have a quasi-legal background and I enjoy legislation, believe it or not. There are people that like law. I'm not a lawyer. I'm also not an occupational hygienist. I used to be an occupational audiometrist, but that was then and this is now. So moving on, there's the document, the prospectus, and I'm going to suggest that get this, print it, share it, hand it to your friends or colleagues or associates or whoever. There may be accountants or alternatively might be lawyers so that they can read it, so that you can do your due diligence. And it's something that we encourage every single person to do. Now, our team is made up of a number of people. There are 3 people. So we're starting off with myself and Penny and Natalie, right at the top of the image over there. That's our family. Then we've got a number of other people that work with us, not for us because they're all freelancers, but we've got some superb people there. Experienced people. The lady in the middle over there with the reddish color hair, her name is Deline, and she's been in the health and safety game longer than I have, and she is incredibly knowledgeable. The lady on her left is our one of our developers, and she is a superb master developer of training material. The lady on her right is our AI specialist. She's also one of our licensees. And then the guys at the bottom is accountant, our e-learning program developer, and our computer man. So that's the team. Then we have about 100 people that are active INTRA licensees from Cape Town to Cairo. And these licensees are running their own businesses. So if you're thinking of doing that, this presentation will give you a lot of information, and you can be assured that there are people running these businesses very, very successfully. I came into the health and safety world having been a cop. Then I worked in security for a short while. Then I worked for NOSA, the National Occupational Safety Association. And from there, I started my own training company. So I've been there for a while, 30 years, 35 years, and I've got to know a lot of people, which Penny and I then decided what we would do is instead of running the courses and literally going into opposition to our clients, we would assist them to run the courses themselves. And that's precisely where INTRA was born. INTRA was born with the idea of helping other people help themselves. So we're members of SIOSH, we're members of APID, and we're members of IOSH, which is the UK-based organization. Now, to kick off, let me tell you that there's an abundance of business in South Africa. Absolutely abundance of business. And you probably know this, that there's a high unemployment rate in South Africa, but still there's something like 17 million currently employed people in South Africa. Of that, probably about 500,000 fall under the mines. And we know that there is a piece of legislation called the Mines Health and Safety Act. But here we're talking about the Occupational Health and Safety Act. And I'm sure you'd understand the difference there. And when you get into the legislation, you'll see that the legislation is very, very clear. So what I'm going to ask you to do right now is grab your phone and take a photo of this screen. It's an unusual thing to do, but please take a photograph of the screen, because this is the foundation of any occupational health and safety training business. Any and every consultant, any and every trainer, facilitator, instructor should know this piece of legislation off by heart. So by now you would have taken the photograph and I'd still run through it. Section 8 is the duties of the employer. And I'm just going to break it down as follows. Firstly, the employer must establish what hazards, dangers, and risks are present in the workplace. Then once the employer has identified that, he or she must then write the precautionary measures and make them available to the employees. Then, step 3, the employer must inform, instruct, train, and supervise. Now, I just want to stop there and take a breath. If I had to ask you, tell me what information is, instruction is, and training is. Normally in Regulation 3, would you know the difference? And why do they use those 3 different words? And what do we mean by supervision? Now, that's an interesting one, because there is another clause that says this supervisor must be trained in the dangers, hazards, and risks, the precautionary measures, and that supervisor is going to be responsible for the way the organization runs. Now, that changes quite a lot in terms of thinking. Okay, so we'll get into this in our orientation sessions. We talk about this a lot, and that's why I say I enjoy legislation. Then it carries on, and it jumps from Section 8 to Section 13. And it says, every employee, okay, what do we say? Every employee, wonderful opportunity. It says the employer must cause every employee to be made conversant with the hazards as well as the precautions. So here's something that I say to people a lot. You know, I used to run training programs either for NOSA or I used to run the training programs for myself. And they used to be packaged off-the-shelf programs. And every single time I would go out, I'd run the same program over and over and over and over again. I would never take into account the hazards in the workplace. I would never ask the client for the risk profile or the precautionary measures, give them to me in writing. And what do you want me to do? Do you want me to do an information session? Do you want me to do an instruction session? Do you want me to do a training session? And have your employees or your supervisors been trained in those 3 elements there? Okay, so now there's a document on the right-hand side that says, am I allowed to do health and safety training? And I get this question a lot, all the time, opinion. That question comes up where people think that they have to be accredited. Not at all. Not at all. So I'm going to suggest that you get a copy of this document. You can get it from Natalie. You've got her number. Ask her for this document and have a look at it. So if somebody says to you, you have to be accredited, I would say to them, really? Show me where it says that. Okay, more of that later on. So now we can see we've got 17 million people, and some of those people are in your immediate vicinity. Now, what kind of hazards come up in the workplace? This is a short list. There's a lot more people, a lot more topics that need to be covered. And if you just look at that list over there, yeah, that's right. These things come up in the workplace. And when I mention risk profile, what it essentially is pick the ones that are applicable to that client. And of course, there are more. We've got a list of about 130 different elements that could be covered. Okay, so having said that, that's exactly what we've done at INTRA. For the past 14 years, we've been working on the basis of employers need to comply. Therefore, somebody needs to do the training for them. And the question is, who does the training? Well, the employer. You say the employer can't because the employer is really busy. Of course, that's true. So then down in Section 13 gives you a clue. It says that the employer must cause. Now, that's a contractor, a subcontractor, an employee or someone like that. Cause every employee to be made conversant. What does that mean? It means that the employee, when they leave that session, can actually talk about it. And that's really important. Okay, so there's the list again. Now, what if we don't do it? And I don't like scaring people with the legislation. But I want to say, you, as a trainer, are an any person. You fall under this category of Section 38. You're an any person who, if found guilty, could be fined up to 50,000 Rand and. Okay. Now, for those of you that are following and have been following for the past decade, you know that the amendment bill's coming at some other stage. But look at where the fine could go. I said, I don't like to scare you, but that's scary. I mean, how many of us have got a spare 5 million Rand lying around? Well, I might have to choose to go to jail. But that means that any person who's found guilty It means that there is a responsibility on the employer, on the contractor, on the supervisor. In law, they talk of a mandatory. That's you. Okay, so there we go. Let's move on. Oopsie, we're too fast. Section 37 is a very important one that you have a look at as well. Because it says you, as a mandatory, and that's a contractor, could be found guilty on behalf of the employer. So it's so important to get this stuff right. It's not a train smash. It is quite doable. Die Afrikaans het 'n mooi woord. Dit is
Doenbaar.
doenbaar.
I'm not sure if my pronunciation was correct, though.
Yeah.
Doenbaar.
Penny is British by birth, South African by citizenship. But doenbaar, that's a word that she likes. Okay, so what we've done is that we put together a business model that looks like a franchise. And that franchise has different opportunities. And those opportunities literally start with somebody who just gets into the game. We're just getting into the health and safety training game. Maybe you have a training company. Then we go, right, let's move it up. Let's move it up. Let's go to basic. And then from basic, you can upgrade to a product or a bundle called Q-Pack for those people who want QCTO accreditation. All of this is in the prospectus. Then we've got our Prime program, which is exactly the name that we've named it, the Prime program. And we have a program called Platinum. And this Platinum license is for enterprises, for organizations that have multiple branches, that have thousands of employees and so forth. So there we go. I just want to welcome, we have a Platinum member licensee.
Welcome, Helga de Lange from Redpath. I'm super excited to have Redpath aboard as a Platinum licensee and looking forward to working with you guys.
Absolutely. So there's a journey, and you can decide that you could come in at any one of these stages. So let me give you some more information. I said it's something like a franchise. At this stage, it's not a franchise, but it looks more and more and more that we're going to move it into the realm of franchise because the QCTO, SAQA, NQF, they are now getting sticky around the word license, which is interesting. License is a term that comes up in the Consumer Protection Act, but it looks as though QCTO wants to take, or SAQA wants to take control of that. Don't worry about that. That's just semantics. Okay, so you'll see that setting up a franchise, you will literally go through how the business works. Penny does an onboarding. We do regular business orientations. We do product orientations. And we do online marketing setup. Now, that's an interesting one. We'll talk about that in a moment. Because you're setting up a business, you need to get good at marketing. Then we've got lots and lots of training material. We've got intra-legal compliance training material. We've got an e-learning platform. We've got SAQA-aligned training material. And we then also regard you as somebody that may or may not know stuff about ISO or AI, and we'll take you through the process. We record everything, stick it onto our YouTube channel so that you can watch it in the evenings. If you've got nothing else to do, you can watch it after the rugby. All right. Then a big focus for people, and one of the reasons you probably responded was you want QCTO accreditation, so we'll talk you through that, take you through the process. We don't do it for you, but we give you the knowledge and the skills so you can do it for yourself. And then the second last element over here is an amazing, amazing feature that we've got of networking opportunities. And networking, we mean you can talk to other people in other cities or countries who are licensees, and you can collaborate with them. And when you come on board as a licensee, it's almost as if you just inherited a whole bunch of friends in the health and safety game. And you can go through a process of upgrading as and when. And Penny, her nickname is Money Penny, she'll tell you how the one purchase then is discounted against the next purchase, so you don't have to pay for it again and again and again. All right, so let's get straight into it. We said that there was a starter and a basic and a prime with a Q-Pack in between. Let me show you what we've got in terms of legal compliance training. These programs are written as pure legal compliance programs. They're not credit bearing, they're not unit standard aligned, but very much aligned with the Occupational Health and Safety Act or the relevant regulation.
And with each of these training materials, you do get a minimum of facilitator guide, facilitator visuals, and learner workbook.
So you can see a lot of these could be relevant to you and your clients. There are 28 programs that we've got. And those 28 programs, you could literally, with a certain amount of preparation, you could run them on Monday next week.
So in the facilitator guide, the way that Ken has designed it, you will clearly see where you have to speak, where you have to show a visual, where you do a classroom activity, etc. So exactly what he said, you could prepare yourself this week, and next week you could be in the classroom and you can look like a rock star.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to come back to the ergo track, number 11. But evac track, fall track, fire track, first track, flag track. I love this term track. Food safe, food track, health and safety rep.
For more information on the content of each and every one of these training materials, you can go onto the website and just click on each and every one. And there's a content sheet that you can print, which gives you the detail of the content.
Absolutely. And we have a product catalog, so you can get it in print as well, which is very, very useful. I say to the people that are starting to market the training programs, cut and paste out of the product catalog and stick it onto your website.
The big advantage is they all sent to you in customizable formats, so you can customize them according to your different clients. And this is incredibly important because only then are they actually legally correct, as the law does state that must actually reflect the specific hazards and risks
In Section 8.
of each and every client.
There we go.
So this is extremely important. And now with AI and the AI tools that we provide our licensees, you are much more easily able to customize for each and every client at a fraction of the time that it used to take you.
Penny, I see that I've made a mistake over here.
You call it par rex, should be par track.
It's par track, par track. My apologies to everybody. I'll fix that the moment we're done. Okay, so there's 28 programs that you can run. There are more. We've identified a number of them. However, for those of you that are involved with the Mines Health and Safety Act, we have been talking about developing training material for that arena as well. Okay, so the par track is something that we are currently focusing on, and I'll talk about that in a short while. Why the par track? There's so many brag boards at companies where you go, we've worked so many days without an injury. Have you ever seen a sign that says we've worked so many weeks without a disease? Or we've worked so many months without a death? You see, most diseases and most deaths are never recorded, never seen. The directors of the organization don't even know it took place because the people die after retirement. And that information on the right-hand side over there, where it says around 2.2 million workers died as a result of occupational diseases, and only 330,000 died as a result of workplace accidents. This is the International Labour Organization that declared this. They do make the statement, these are the incidents that are reported.
Great.
So you know that the act is called the Occupational Health and Safety Act. And they called it the Health and Safety Act and not the Occupational Safety and Health Act, the OSHA. There's no such thing in South Africa as an OSHA, but people call it that. Why? Because safety does not come before health. As you can see, this is an International Labour Organization. You've got a copy of this report. I will gladly send it to you. But it really becomes quite serious. If you think of, we have not really had much legislation in South Africa that covers occupational health. Okay, this one does. This and regulations like the noise exposure regulation and asbestos abatement and so forth, and ergonomics. So now, I'm going to say this to you. We're all going to make the shift, obviously voluntarily. We're going to become occupational health and safety physical agents regulation observers, because the law requires it. And it's really important for all of us to upskill, at least that we know what we're talking about. And we also know that there are certain things that I mentioned earlier on, such as competency, which has been redefined. More on that on the workshop itself. Okay,
So
now this is Penny's baby.
The physical agent regulation is coming into effect when?
On the 6th of September.
Which is an excellent opportunity for everybody because it's not yet with the QCTO. So this is an awareness course that everybody can rock and roll with straight away.
And will not be with the QCTO for the next 2, 3, 4 years, because they haven't generated anything for ergonomics yet. We haven't seen anything yet.
Ergonomics is in the queue. It has been pre-approved, but we are waiting for it to be published.
And waiting.
As soon as
And
it's
waiting.
published, our development team will tackle it immediately.
We wrote a training program called the Ergo Track together with an ergonomist, and we will really, I'd love it once the QCTO writes it. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask Penny to talk about her e-learning programs and the platform.
So in line and in partnership with the legal compliance training materials, we've developed a series of 18 currently e-learning courses that are available to you and especially to our licensees. For our licensees, we do kind of like a profit share scenario whereby we charge them a very low fee per learner per course, and they can mark it up to their clients. And we do a lot of the heavy lifting on behalf of our licensees. We do the uploading, et cetera, et cetera. You can access any one or all of these courses online on our website. You can purchase them individually if you wish, just to see the quality. And it's very much a kind of read and understand. You download your own learner workbook. There's a multiple choice assessment at the end of each course. The learner needs to achieve more than 70% correct in order to be able to download the certificate of completion. This has been incredibly helpful for legal compliance tick boxing, especially where you've got different learners that you need to assist across the country or in different countries. And we also are able to provide reports so that you can clearly see and confirm that the learner has completed everything successfully. Also great to use as a refresher. So if you're doing face-to-face training
can I jump in there?
Yeah.
It's also excellent if you don't know something like ergonomics.
Oh, yes.
Maybe that's a workshop you've never attended.
So for our licensees, we do make, especially for the prime licensee, you get access to all 18 courses, up to 2 in your team, so that you can go through each and every one of these courses. And yes, as Ken was saying, it's a fantastic way to orientate yourself according to the content.
If I were to say to every single person that's here, tell me about PAR, Physical Agents Regulation, how many would pass the test? So what we do for licensees is we run the workshop, such as tomorrow, and as a paid-up licensee, you would not have to pay anything extra. You would just attend. Similarly, ergonomics, and so forth, and so forth. Okay, so thank you, Penny. Now, there's been a shift. There's been a transition. Some of you have been following this whole thing from CETA to QCTO, and then from QCTO to CETA. And I'm not too sure if you watched the presentation done by Mr. Buti Malamela, who is the Minister of Higher Education, where they realized that some of the things that they implemented were just not going to happen. And they've now given us the opportunity, some people the opportunity, to actually go back to the CETA unit standards and work with them. Very interesting. I've just finished a presentation on that, and we'll update Penny on that as well. So we've got about 40 programs that you can run that are SACWA unit standard aligned training programs.
The other advantage is that we have many, in fact, I think we had 90% of our INTRA licensees had their CETA accreditation in place. Many of the accreditation letters only expire in 2027, 2028, 2029. So it would be possible for you to align and work in partnership or collaboration with other licensees that have this accreditation still in place. And as we're getting more information, we're updating our licensees on what can or can't be done. And of course, we have the QCTO replacements as they become available.
So the deadline of the 30th of June has come and gone, and they've reversed it.
Which is a good thing for the industry.
I think it's a great thing for the industry. So if you were told that you won't be able to run any training programs, either by somebody else or maybe even us, or QCTO, take a deep breath, and it is now doonbaar. Okay, having said that, now this is something that you may or may not know. And again, if this was a test, if I had to say to you, define accreditation and agreements, define alignment and approvals, define certification, define competency, define compliance and registration and verification and licensing. You think, why didn't they keep it nice and simple? Because for most people and most your clients, they're going to go, is it accredited? And then you have to explain it to them. It's not possible. It's impossible. Not at this stage. And the clients do not understand that. So it's very important that you know and understand it. However, for you as a training provider, we're going to say to you, you really need to be accredited.
Absolutely. I totally agree with Ken. We encourage each and every one of our licensees to get the QCTO accreditation, to get the Department of Employment and Labor approval if they're doing first aid or whatever is relevant to that approval as well. But make sure that you have this in place. It's a very, very important badge. You might still fall back onto legal compliance training. That'll probably be the bulk of your training, but you will be able to state categorically to your clients that, yes, I am accredited.
Now, accreditation used to go hand in hand with the certificate that you would get from CETA or alternatively from the QCTO. So if I wanted to be an accredited working at heights trainer, I would have to get the qualification. I would then apply for accreditation, and I could then issue a certificate of competency to the learner. I'm sorry to say, no more. Not in that form. We used to rely on the fact that you get a certificate from the training provider or QCTO that says you're competent, but not according to the legislation anymore. You have to be qualified. What do they mean by that? Well, we can unpack that tomorrow. No time today. But that's a shocking thing. A person with a certificate of competency is not competent anymore, according to the PAR. But let's go ahead. Accreditation is really important to get. And you'll see this variance, this doenbaar, it's doable, there's workarounds. We'll explain to you how the processes work and how you can legitimately run training programs, give your clients the very best assistance, and so forth. Now, where do we know that accreditation is required or competency? In the regulations. And when you open a regulation, and there's about 23, 24 regulations, you'll see that they define under Regulation 1 what competency is. This is the definition that's changing. Now, here's an interesting thing. If you have a look at that definition, it talks about competent person, and it talks about the qualification that's registered in terms of the NQF Act. What if no qualification has ever been registered, such as ergonomics? How can you be competent? How can you issue a certificate of competency? There was a unit standard for risk assessors, but not for the employees. And then have a look at subparagraph B. Subparagraph B says that that person that did the workshop or sat in on the course has to be familiar with the Act and the applicable regulations. So may I say this? Once again, I'm looking at it opportunistically. There's the training program for the regulation, which is great. There's money to be made there. There's also money to be made by running a legal liability course and a course on the regulation itself. And there's also money to be made if you're going to help the client identify what the dangers, hazards, and risks are in terms of Section 8. Now, have a look at the construction regulations. They've changed it there and very specifically changed it in the physical agents regulation. So there we go. We'll be talking about that tomorrow, and we'll run this program over and over and over again. So it's important to note that things are changing, and you would be a change agent. You'd be able to help people, help employers, help supervisors, and even your brother-in-law, so that they can gather an understanding. So we had the unit standards, and they were then going to transfer into curriculum, but that's going to change a little bit now as well. Okay, so I want to ask Penny just to talk you through this process. From the perspective of getting your own accreditation. Penny, over to you.
Thanks, Ken. So we decided a couple of years ago, as the transition to the QCTO was becoming clear, that it would be definitely advantageous for our licensees to be able to do their own accreditation with the QCTO. So as and when the QCTO is releasing and publishing the OHS skills programs in drips and drabs, they can add those to their suite as they go along without having to pay another 10, 15K each time. We also, as part of the Prime license and the Platinum license, the new QCTO training materials are delivered to you free of charge. So you're not paying again and again and again. And quite frankly, some months you might get an extra 20,000 rands worth of value um, because of new training materials that we're delivering to you. And this is part of the overall massive value of the Prime license, the way it was designed. So we have designed a program which is very, very successful that will take you through exactly what you have to do, exactly what documents you need, exactly what you can expect. We have a workshop that we run normally once a month. The next one's coming up next week, Thursday, the 9th of July. For those of you that are still not licensees and you want to get that going, if you can get your applications in by Friday this week, we'll still hold the old price for you. And you can join us next week, Thursday, the 9th of July, for the next workshop. So the workshop clearly shows you exactly what to do and timelines and explains everything for you and refers back to your Google Drive, which is an Accredit kit, which gives you more than sufficient in terms of all the checklists and documents. We also have a quality management system document for you, template, together with a tutorial for you as to how to fill it out and customize it with your own company details, etc. This is a massive document that in itself is probably worth more than 7 or 8K on the open market. And we review that annually. So it's just gone through another review this year, 2026, keeping it in line with current QCTO policies and procedures.
Fantastic. Penny, I just want to ask you a question here.
Sure.
If you're a basic, can you upgrade to Prime?
Absolutely. So the way that we've designed the progress from starter through to Prime is that as you move from one license to the next, we can give you a discount up to a maximum of 50% of the upfront fee for the Prime. So you don't lose your investment as you go along. If you felt that the starter was a better place for you to start, absolutely perfect. A lot of licensees have done that very successfully.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so there's a lot that we can talk about, and I'm sure you have many questions that are coming up. Now, we've got a couple of programs, and I say a couple of programs. We've got all 3 first aid programs ready. How many licensees have already got there?
The first aid programs have gone through another review in 2026. So we've really reviewed them and we've brought them up to standard in terms of our new level of delivery, and we've included facilitated visuals now with these programs. And they've gone through numerous accreditation site visits very successfully.
Yeah. And the QCTO verifiers like the material, which is really, really nice to know. So here we go. If you want to run first aid courses, you can. There are obviously hoops and hurdles, and you need to know that, for instance, to run an advanced course, you must be registered with the Health Professional Council. We will tell you all about that.
So this is just an example of some of our licensees in terms of their site visit, how they prepare their venues, and the QCTO is very, very venue specific. They want you to create a very professional environment for your learners. So this is different to doing instructions where everybody's sitting on a paint tin. This is kind of like more aligned to like college standard, etc. And that's really where the QCTO is coming from. They're coming from kind of like a college level. Yes. And expecting training providers to be at that level. But we help you through all of that. We can even do a site visit rehearsal for you, and you can see the kind of detail that we go through to make sure that you understand each and every requirement.
Absolutely. So now you want to run a professional organization, I believe that we can help you. I honestly believe that. And we've also got a number of people that you can talk to ask them, did it work for you to get your accreditation easily? And I believe Penny has done exceptionally well at making it a lot easier. A lot of the process is online. QCTO is better than the old CETA system. However, we heard from the QCTO at SACWA today, there are a couple of changes that are going to take place in that arena. So it's interesting. Well, what do they say? It's taxes and something else that never changed. Death of taxes, never changed. It's going to happen. Yeah. All right. So some of the programs that they have brought out, the low credit programs, are available for you to use tomorrow and then to actually include in your accreditation application.
So you can apply for up to 5 skills programs at any one time when you're applying for your accreditation. But important to note that you don't have to wait until you've got accreditation for your first 5 before you can submit the next application. So this is really helpful. For those of you that want to get rocking and rolling as quickly as possible, you can start putting your library of accreditations together quickly. I've got some licensees that already have 12 accredited training programs under their belt already. We already have, I think, about 9 or 10. There's another 2 in the pot that will be published shortly. And we have been informed by HWCTA that there's a whole nother set of OHS skills programs that have been approved, but we are waiting for them to be published on the QCTO website. As soon as they are published, then we'll be able to give those out to our development team.
So if you remember what we were saying right in the beginning, Section 8, the employer must demonstrate demonstratively that the training was done. It doesn't say in the Act that it has to be competency-based. However, there are some places that I want to share with you, and I will share with you, where it must be competency-based. Okay, Penny was talking about this, the documents that you're going to receive as part of the QCTO training material.
I think,
when you're prime.
The level of delivery is amazing. We're really, really proud of this. And, you know, the way that the Forms 3 and Forms 4, which is your learning matrix and your implementation plan, your lesson plan, if you like, are pre-prepared for you for each and every training material is very helpful. It really cuts down your time. And I think having the visuals as well is very important. And we also have a generic learner orientation guide that we use throughout all. We are preparing and will be launching shortly another workshop, which is post-accreditation, now what, and taking you through all of the process, how to submit your thesis for approval, etc. Ken has written an excellent book called the Q Book. You can also purchase that Q Book separately from our website if you prefer. And that helps explain all the different QCTO acronyms, what this means, what's a KT, what's a KM, what's a PM, etc., and makes it a lot easier for you to follow and understand.
Yeah, absolutely. So right in the beginning, I had no understanding of the language of SAQA NQF. But as you go along, you'll learn a lot more. You don't have to know it all because you have these references that you can go back to. We record it so that you can then watch it again and again and again and again. And as you expand your own team and their knowledge, you can have them watch those Zoom sessions as well on YouTube. Okay, here's an important thing or element that Penny will talk about.
So Working at Heights, the Institute of Working at Heights were really brave and diligent in working with the QCTO for some years, trying to get the Institute of the Working at Heights skills programs approved. It didn't work out the way that they had hoped, and there was delay after delay. So ultimately, in frustration, in July of last year, they implemented their own interim measures for certification, and they subsequently made that a permanent measure. So all of our licensees who need this very, very important certification, we do send them straight to Institute of Working at Heights, and they go through that process of certification there. As you know, there's many different elements to Working at Heights, and you would need your facilitator assessor qualification and the necessary experience in those different areas. And that is the name, Lizanne, from QMD at profbody.co.za. Please go direct to her with your application. You have to become a member of the ASDSA first, and then you
What is ASDSA? That's a mouthful.
Yeah. And they approve you initially, and then you go through the Institute of Working at Heights. So it is, as we say, Dunbar. Many of our licensees have already come out with their certifications the other side. So yeah, we encourage you to do that.
Yeah. So as you can see, it takes a little while to get your head around this. We do the heavy lifting, Penny said. And what we do is we don't expect you to sit there night after night after night, weekend after weekend, writing training material or doing all the research and trying to get your head around all these changes. That's what we do.
Exactly. And I think important to note, for Working at Heights, that does not require accreditation. We do have the full track legal compliance training material, and on our e-learning platform, we have Working at Heights, we have Full Arrest and Full Track, that are very helpful for your learners.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Penny. I appreciate that. All right. Here are the programs that are awaited from QCTO. When? We don't know. I often joke about it and I say QCTO is like a really, really nice, shiny 4x4. The problem with it is it's been stuck in the sand and the wheels are turning.
Shame, yeah, it is quite a process. And I know that it's just the way it is. But we are looking forward to these coming out shortly. We'll let you know as soon as they're available. And of course, you can see their ergonomics condition monitor is going to be very popular, and appropriate ergonomics user. These are going to be very popular programs.
Great. We'll explain all of these different things, what this SPID is and what the N-curve credit level is, what the credits are, and things of that nature, so that you know how to fit it in. For many of you watching today, or maybe watching the video, this is old hat. You know this stuff, and this is just literally a matter of plug and play, and you can get up and running quickly. There is a clock on this. We're waiting to see when this comes out. We look at the website every single day to see whether anything has come out, and we're holding our breath.
Absolutely. And we've got an excellent development team standing by to do these. And this again is huge additional value for you as a prime licensee or a platinum licensee, that you get these training materials ready to go, so that you can apply for accreditation accordingly. And yes, I think the workshop that we have that's launching in August, with regards to the process of how do you enroll with QCTO, how do you train with the QCTO, how do you do the reporting for the QCTO, how do you get your thesis pre-approved, how do you get your certificates from the QCTO, etc., is going to be a very valuable part of the Prime and Platinum program.
Any enough information?
Tima, I'm just saying, yeah, we're looking after you guys. That's what I'm saying. We're looking after you.
Penny is a teacher, or was a teacher, so you can hear she's got all this information. She wants to share it all at once, which we really appreciate. Fantastic. So you can see that the team that we put together are really good. They know what they're doing, and that team has experience, been around for a while. So what we'd like to do is just talk you through the costings. The costing is going up. Oops. Where is this presentation? Yeah, there we go.
So as of today, the 1st of July, all our prices are going up. But as I said earlier, if your application is in and approved by Friday this week, we'll definitely hold the old prices for you. Typically, like, the Prime is going up by some 10,000 rands, etc. Platinum is going up by some 50,000 rands. So we have been underpriced in the market for quite some time. And our business mentors have insisted now that it's time that we do raise the cost, because we have a lot of additional investments in terms of our development and the training materials, etc.
And we're taking on a new person onto our development team. But something I want to point out to you, this is a business. And if you're familiar with anything related to tax legislation, you will know that expenditure in terms of setting up a business is tax deductible. That's really important to note. So the money that you're going to be spending or investing is not just wasted. You can get it back from tax if you do your accounting properly. And Penny's nickname is Money Penny, like the James Bond character. And she'll give you some advice and some guidance. And if necessary, our own accountant runs workshops on accounting so you can get your head around it.
I think an important point to make here is that we do have a Prime Plus option for those of you that really do not have time to go through all the detail of the accreditation yourselves, and you definitely want a hand-holding, project-managed approach. We have something called the Prime Plus. So if that's something that would appeal to you a lot more, we'll obviously charge you for that, but please let us know.
And Moneypenny's detailed advice is such that I don't think we've ever had anybody not get their accreditation if they follow her guidance. Okay, moving on. Oopsie, there we go. The training material, Penny.
So if you would prefer just to purchase training material individually, we're not raising the cost on the training material. So the training material we feel is correctly priced at the moment. The legal compliance training material is at 2,999, and the QCTO training material is at 4,999. And that's inclusive of that. Yeah, see, Ken's got it as 4,995 there. And
because it's 495.
We always have this argument. Anyway, but please feel free, if you want to just have a look at buying individually, you're absolutely able to do that direct on our website. Or if you do need an invoice for an EFT, please do let us know and we'll send you an invoice. And you can also do the same for the e-learning. If you want to just do one e-learning course at a time, you can absolutely do that.
So moving on. Obviously, it's a business. We said that you can deduct it from tax. And we also recognize that you may need some assistance with marketing. So Natalie has a degree from UCT in media, and she worked for a number of large ad agencies in Cape Town in the social media department. So you'll get time with Natalie. She will audit what you've got, and then she will advise you as what to do. Now, she doesn't build websites or anything like that. Can be done, can be arranged, but this is really important.
Very important. So if you're in the basic, prime, or platinum, this is part of your program.
Now, here's something that I'm going to brag about. And the brag is this. If you go onto the internet and you go onto any of the search engines and you type in, you enter PAR, Physical Agents Regulation Provider, and see where INTRA comes up. I'm proud to say that we're right at the top of Google. Why? Because we got people helping us to get there. And that's important. We want to show you how to do it so that you can be found in your geographic area. And this is important. And then?
So the onboarding process, I do an onboarding with you, just making sure that you understand exactly what's been delivered to you and making sure that you've received everything that's due to you for your particular license. And just opening up the communication so that you always know that we're just a WhatsApp away. You have reasonable access to us at all times. We do have other business orientations. Ken does a magnificent 3 or 4 hour business orientation once every 2 months or so, as we get a new group of licensees together. And you can attend these as many times as you wish. And in fact, for all of our webinars, the paid webinars, licensees attend for free. And that in itself is worth 3 or 4K a month, just to have that advantage.
It's you and your team. So it's not worth charging per person. But if you're a licensee, prime licensee especially, you and your team can attend. Okay, so we spoke about the networking. We said that there are people literally from Cape Town to Cairo, or in fact, Dubai to Durbanville, in 8 different countries in Africa. So there might be opportunities for you to reach out to other people in other countries, such as Ghana and Liberia and where else, Penny?
Congo, Botswana, Namibia, Lesotho, of course, Swaziland, Mozambique.
So you plug into this, Penny calls it a tribe. You plug into this tribe and they're there. And if you need somebody, you can send a message to Penny. Penny sends it out to everybody. And they then respond to you. So let's just use that example again of working at house.
Exactly, and INTRA doesn't get involved in your negotiations. That's for you to decide with your potential partner licensee. But we've really had some amazing positive partnerships and collaborations that have evolved out of this. So immediately, instead of you being on your own, it's like you have now access to expertise and accredited providers in many, many different areas of health and safety. So very, very important. And we also have occupational hygienists that are licensees, which are very, very helpful together with the PAR that's coming up now. And of course, those that are ISO certified and things like that.
So you can see it's just, this is like McDonald's.
Yes, like McDonald's family meal. You get this, you get this, you get this, and you get this. And that was really our thinking behind bundling everything together for you within the license programs, is to give you maximum value.
And it is true, you can do it yourself. When? And that was one of the experiences I had when I was running my training business, is that Monday to Sunday, I would be busy. When I'm supposed to be with my family, I'm busy. When I'm supposed to be watching TV, I'm busy. Get up early in the morning, I'm busy. And we are really, really keen to help you not to have to get into that, or help you to get out of that loop. So with that in mind, let's just wrap up. Okay, so what we want to suggest is that you can have a one-on-one call with us, either Penny or myself, and you can set it up. Now, you can just make contact with Natalie and say, please, can I have 30 minutes with Ken or Penny? And we will answer your questions. Then you gather your team together. I would suggest print your prospectus, draw up a list of questions, and then we will gladly spend some time with you. Lastly, the question is where to from here. And I wrote a little document called the Roadmap. And it's about 35 steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And a mentor of ours used to talk about baby steps. And that's essentially what you need to get going. Baby step 1, 2, 3. However, some of you have been in this game, the training world, for a long time. Maybe you're transitioning away from regular supervisory training or management training or skills training, and you're getting into the health and safety game. So we'll take you through that process, and we are very happy to share some time with you and your team. The other day, there was a company in Namibia, and they had about 7 or 8 people in their training room or boardroom. And I spent some time with the entire team and answered questions. It was slightly longer than half an hour, but it was very, very beneficial for you and them to be able to do due diligence and see that what you're going to be buying here is an asset that will generate income for you. And on that score, in the prospectus, I talk about 6 other streams of income that you can get from the health and safety game. So if this appeals to you, please send Natalie a request and say, quote, that's all you need to do, to 069 652 9696, and then say quote for starter or basic or prime or platinum or QPAC, and just tell her what you want and she'll give it to you. There's no obligation, but there is an indication of this is what you would be in for if you're going to go down this road. It will include the new prices, so obviously you'll get that. And I know that Penny has a lot to say about getting a quote now as quickly as possible. Go for it, Penny.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, for those of you that have, I think we've got a few people here that have maybe been following us for some time and actually are ready to make the decision now and get going, especially with the good news about the unit standards, etc., just making the industry a lot lighter at the moment. Then we do suggest that you confirm today, tomorrow, so that you can get the old price, which will hold for you until Friday.
Can I jump in here, Penny?
Yep.
Now, something I want to say to you, because Penny and I have been in small business for a long time, Penny longer than me. If you find yourself in a situation where you're a little cash flow restrained, talk to Penny. Talk to Penny.
Absolutely.
We're not going to make any offers or anything like that now, but after the half an hour chat, we can just talk to you and see if we can come up with a plan. We've helped a couple of people actually cross that bridge. So with that, I see it's almost time. I want to say to everybody that's joined us in particular, I want to say to Natalie, who did all the marketing, good, and thank you. To Penny, who's in constant support. We just want to say it is possible for you to grow yourself from starter to basic, basic to QPAC, QPAC to prime, and you can operate as an accredited occupational health and safety trainer in South Africa. I see Levan has got her hand up, so I'm going to stop the recording and then we're going to open the microphones and you can ask as many questions as you want. So with that, thank you, and we look forward to chatting to you.
Thank you so much.